Welcome back to the Talking with Taylor podcast. I'm your host, Taylor, where we talk with anyone about anything, and hopefully everyone around the table will listen. And today, we've got a very special guest, and I'm so excited to have him on here. His name is Mr. Kyle Creel. Kyle, how you doing?
Good, man. How's it going?
Good, man. Good. So Kyle and I, we have known each other for, goodness,
it's been a long time.
It's been a long time. We've, been, at least 10, 15 plus years.
For sure.
It's been crazy. And so, man, Kyle is a dear friend, and Kyle has many talents, and he's a business owner. He's just involved in the community, but he is recently involved now in the Alabama Cattlemen's Association, but specifically, Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong, the Young Cattlemen's Association.
Leadership program.
Right. And so, and this is important. Why? Why is this program important?
So first of all, man, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you having me on, man. I'm excited to be on with you. I know we've been trying to make this happen for a while now, and I was thinking about on the way over here. I was like, you and I, we used to like call each other 3-4 times a day, and we had nothing going on, nothing else to do.
Life was that were the good days.
Now we have to do a podcast to be able to sit down in front of each other and talk. It's crazy.
What was crazy? We'll hit the important stuff in a second. But what was crazy? But we would call each other 3 or 4 times a day and talk 10, 15-minute increments. And now when we call each other once every 2 to 3 weeks,
exactly,
we talk 45 minutes on the phone.
That's right.
Try to catch up.
May play phone tag 3 or 4 days in a row,
but we'll get there.
But we'll get there,
But
yeah, man, going back to your question about why is this important, I first want to touch on, what is agriculture?
Yeah.
Because there's so many. I know we're kind of
don't even know what that means.
Exactly. Yeah. We're kind of targeting a different audience today. A lot of your listeners probably have never really dug into this and don't fully understand, what all this is. So by definition, agriculture is the science of practicing farming, including cultivation of soil, growing crops, raising animals, providing food or other products for everyday life. So whether you realize it or not, you're benefiting from some form of agriculture in everyday life, whether it be the food you eat, the clothes you're wearing, wood in your home, you're building something, whatever.
Yeah.
You're benefiting from some form of agriculture, and you're taking part in that, every day. Outside of that, as far as the economy goes, agriculture contributes about $7 trillion to the U.S. economy, and it's literally putting food on the table for Americans, whether you're eating salads for dinner or whether you're eating cattle, fish, pork, fruits, vegetables, whatever. It took some form of agriculture to make that happen. Outside of that, you look at forestry products, growing and harvesting timber, replanting trees to replenish that and sustain that for, future growth and future harvesting. All that is some form of agriculture and important, to everyday life. These practices kind of help to maintain and produce a healthier environment. These guys farmers and ranchers are working tirelessly to constantly improve the soil, improve the forage and landscape, because their livelihood depends on it. It's not, for a lot of them, it's not something they just do on the weekends. It's not something they, get up on Saturday morning and do because they have nothing else going on. A lot of these guys, it's their livelihood. Their families depend on it, and they want to protect and maintain the environment the best they can.
Well, you talk about it's bigger than just going to the farm every day. It literally is their why. They're providing food for themselves and for everyone else, and so it's a big deal, and that's why the conversations we've had. Well, Kyle, so what is the Alabama Cattlemen's Association?
Yeah, so the Alabama Cattlemen's Association was organized in 1944 with the goal of kind of protecting the cattle industry, as well as protecting the climate for producing and selling beef cattle in Alabama. Some of these issues that they cover are everything from ag-related taxes to the health of these animals that they're raising and producing here. They have lobbying efforts constantly going on to protect the state's $2.5 billion beef cattle industry. They're a strong voice, not only in Montgomery but in Washington D.C. as well. It's so there's constantly a fight against the agricultural world on saying that it's harmful to the environment or the whole going green movement or whatever, and it's so important that they have a voice and somebody fighting for them, because so many of these guys, since this is their full-time job and they live this every day of their life, they don't have a way to really step out away from that and go fight these everyday battles,
Well, and that really gives them some empowerment, and like you said, it gives them a voice, and that really leads us to the next question. So why is the Alabama Cattlemen's Association important?
So this industry is, when you look at the industry as a whole, there's about 1.25 million head of cattle across Alabama farms. So it's so much bigger than you take your scenic drive to the beach and you see a cattle farm on the side of the road and you think, oh, that's the cattle industry, and it is. But it's those small farms as a network, as a whole, grouping together and forming this, and it's a broad range. You look at across the whole United States. There's about 89.3 million head of cattle across the state. Across the United States as a whole. So there it creates there's a strong demand for beef both domestically and internationally. Internationally, there was about $11.68 billion of beef exported in 2022. So it's a large industry that's going on right now. One of the programs they kind of get behind and push is a program called Beef Quality Assurance. And what that is, it's a nationally coordinated and state implemented program that teaches beef producers across the whole country to raise cattle under optimal management and environmental conditions. And these practices include better record keeping for these animals, the safety of these animals, the quality of beef produced, and things like record keeping. People want to know, what happened through the life cycle of this animal. What drugs was it administered through its life? What was it being fed through its life? And it's something that's really become important to people lately. And the reason this is important is it's giving consumers confidence in what they're buying. You wouldn't go out and buy a vehicle without doing your research and figuring out, is this a good product or not? The same thing for what you put in your body. You don't want to put anything in your body that it's not quality. So it's become an important factor of this industry for sure.
Well, and that really kind of helps keep a check on it, and it helps the consumer and the producer, because those that are producing the heads of cattle know that if this standard's in place, you're not going to have people just skating by trying to get
exactly. No doubt.
But then for the consumer, you're getting a good product,
right? And it gives the consumer confidence in knowing, hey, this wasn't something that was raised in somebody's backyard where they just went out and fed it a little corn every other day and then they put it on the shelf. So it's a win-win for everyone. So yeah, it's programs like that are so important in today's industry, and giving people more confidence in what they're buying for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it goes to the next topic. I'm gonna let you say the word because I struggle with it.
So this next thing, it probably looks like a typo on your notes, but one of the things the Cattlemen Association has, one of the assets they have in their office there is a place called the Museum. It's spelled M-O-O. And it's a really cool kind of hands-on facility there they have. Opened in 1995, and it's a program where children and adults both can kind of go in and experience the life cycle of a cow, from pasture to plate. I went through the museum, and it was very informative to me, and it's got a lot of things for kids and adults both that they can enjoy. They got a little rodeo room where kids and adults too can play around and but one of the coolest things about that to me, they had a room kind of dedicated just to the byproducts of a cow. You know, you think about a cow and you think
what all comes from a cow.
Yeah, what comes from a cow. You know, and you obviously think steaks and burgers.
Yeah,
you know, that's the first and foremost.
That's what
you
I'm
know?
thinking about.
And
so you're thinking about.
But like you go through some of these things, and I've jotted down a few things here that kind of stood out to me.
Yeah.
That was really neat. Like you go through things like medicines, candy, plastics, plant food, shampoo, you know, glass, vitamins, instrument strings, chewing gum, detergents, deodorant, shaving cream, all fireworks. You know, when you're blowing up fireworks, New Year's Eve, you think about parts of a cow blowing up basically in
I'm
there.
curious. So what part of the cow's in the fireworks?
You know, I have to do a little more research on that to figure out. I don't know, but that is very interesting to me.
I mean, I want to know. I mean, so for our listeners, I mean, this topic of agriculture right here, the fact that there's parts of a cow in fireworks, chalk, antifreeze, lotion, well, all this research that Kyle's done, vitamins, this should intrigue your interest for sure, and really, you know, it's much more than. I mean, I didn't know that. I mean, I was getting hungry thinking about steaks and hamburgers.
Oh, no doubt.
And but then you talk about all this other stuff, so it's a very, you know, I mean, I'm even more interested, and so that's pretty cool, Kyle. Good, really. I mean. And here's the deal, Kyle. And I know we got some more topics we got to hop into, but this right here, you can tell for any industry, you got to have people who are passionate about whatever industry it may be. And obviously, you're very passionate about this, and it speaks to your leadership in this as well, because of the leadership you have in there, you've automatically drawn me in to want to know more about it, and so I think that's just really cool and a really unique perspective. So yeah, absolutely, Kyle.
Yeah, for sure, man. It is something I'm passionate about. I mean, I grew up around this industry, and you know, growing up as a kid, really didn't understand how lucky I was to get to be around that and get to be involved in that. And you know, I think for so many kids today, they don't really have the opportunity to even be around that. So I think,
dude, kids today, I mean, and I work with them all the time, and what they grew up in, the way we grew up is everything's so fast paced.
Right.
Now. Like you can't. Yeah, you pass them on the way to the beach, but where are the kids? What are the kids looking at?
Exactly.
They're not looking at.
That's right. They're not taking it in.
So,
that's right.
So,
and then, you know, there's such beauty in like you said, not being in that fast-paced environment and getting away from your phones, computers, TV, the Xbox, whatever.
Yep.
Getting away from that, being in God's creation, and just getting out and enjoying it. You know, and
we only have so much time on this earth, and why would we want to speed it up?
That's right.
You know,
that's right.
Obviously, obviously we have a biblical worldview, and so we know what our future holds. But I would want to take in every moment of, like you said, of God's creation. So,
that's right.
Really cool stuff. Well, Kyle, you've already got me interested, and hopefully our listeners are interested too. And I think we need to do another segment at some point. And so I think this is just a really cool topic we can continue on. But how can people get involved and support the ACA?
Yeah. So first off, on a local level, regardless of what county you live in across the state of Alabama, you have a local chapter of the Cattlemen Association that you can join and get involved in. And the cool thing is, you do not have to own cattle to get involved in that.
Yeah.
You can reach out and volunteer, and they constantly have programs going on and fundraisers going on that you can volunteer at and get involved in. Another cool way you can contribute is they have a cowboy tag license plate that you can purchase at your local county office. And one of the neat things about that is the cowboy tag has produced about 1.1 million in scholarships for about 1,000 kids across the state.
Wow.
So that's something cool they're doing. They also contribute to a junior cattleman education program. And one of the things that I'm currently benefiting from in there that I kind of want to highlight a little bit is a program that they do called the Young Cattlemen's Leadership Program. And what that is, the goal of that is to identify the state's top young cattlemen and develop them into the leaders of the future. But, they've kind of recognized, hey, our organization is important, and without developing tomorrow's leaders, there is no tomorrow for this organization. So they they kind of recognize the importance of that, and they're equipping these young leaders into the future of this organization and trying to develop them to be a voice in the future. And it's been great for me over the past year. We've had the opportunity to tour a lot of different farms across the whole state, and just see what they're doing on their operation as a whole, and how they're running things, and kind of what their little special niche is that they've specialized in. One of the most valuable tools has been just creating a network of other like-minded leaders, and that's important no matter what you're involved in.
Right.
No matter you're in youth ministry and leadership, and I'm at the other end of the board on in the technical world with things, but that whole view there is so important for both of us, just to have a network around us of other like-minded leaders who can drive us and push us, and we can reach out to for problems we're going through, or something new we want to try, because chances are you surround yourself with enough people, chances are someone else has gone through the same thing and are experiencing the same problems you're going through, and they've already figured out a solution to it.
That's right. That's right. Well, it's been said, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And so you need to, like you said, surround yourself with people who've been there, done that, who have kind of have, like you said, had a little bit of life on them. That way they've, experienced it and can provide input on that, on the things that we've gone through. So
for sure.
That's all good stuff. Well, this leads us kind of into our last topic here, leadership in agriculture. And as John Maxwell says, and as we have in our notes here, everything rises and falls on leadership and through leadership. And so the importance of developing young leaders in the ACA and the Young Cattlemen's Leadership Program is super important. I think the conversations that Kyle and I have had about this is, if everything rises and falls on leadership, then so does the Alabama Cattlemen's Association, right?
No doubt. And I think it's important to look at, first off, what is a leader? And by definition, a leader has the ability to set clear direction and help others move forward towards a common goal. And I think, I was thinking about that this morning, and one of the first examples of that pops in my mind is Coach Saban.
Yeah.
And I know you playing football at Alabama, you experienced that firsthand, and I think, this year, this 2022 team 2023 team we've been watching here is a perfect example of that. We started out the year and didn't have a lot of standout athletes, didn't have your Heisman candidate athletes, and had a team that not a lot of people gave a fighting chance to, but he's such a strong and powerful leader, and had the ability to rally the troops together, pull everybody together, because they had a common goal in mind, and I think he's a great example of that.
Well, this year, like I said, this year definitely is probably his best job of coaching, just from that standpoint, because of exactly what you said. He took a team that didn't have as much talent as other teams and brought them to the top. And, you talk about that goal that they have, taking them towards that goal. A leader, it's one thing to have a goal, it's another thing to have a vision, but it's a whole completely different deal to communicate that vision. And Coach Saban has done a great job of communicating that vision.
No doubt.
A great leader is a great communicator, and so that we're going to dive into some skills of successful leadership here in a minute. But if you know what your goal is, you know your purpose, and you can help communicate that goal as well.
No doubt, and I think that's so important. I look at like you and I are on two different opposite ends of like the hobbies we enjoy, the things we do, but we both have a common goal, together, and we have the ability to come together and drive towards that common goal, not based on the things that we have in common are the things we enjoy, but because of the purpose we're trying to achieve.
That's right.
You know, and I feel like so many organizations are, I've heard the term overmanaged and underled. And what that means is, for me, is, you know, you've got a lot of leaders or so-called leaders who they have the ability to rule over people because of their position, but they don't have the ability to lead.
Right.
They don't have the ability to pull together a group of people and lead. And you know, I think the continuity and the productivity of an organization is a direct reflection of the leadership of that organization.
Well, absolutely, and you said it best, and John Maxwell talks about the 5 levels of leadership, and number 1 is position, but people follow you in that role because they have to, not because they want to.
Exactly.
Right? And that's no place that's really, to me, not even leadership, because they have to follow you. That may be just a boss or a manager. Now, they had to do something to get to that place, but doesn't mean people necessarily want to follow them.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's, you know, I think there's a very distinct difference in power versus authority. You know, power, like you mentioned, is the ability to force someone into an outcome because of your position or whatever, you know, your money or whatever. The authority is getting them to do your will because of the influence you have over them.
Right.
You know, and it's not, you're not forcing a bunch of people to do something. You have the authority over them because, hey, they trust you, they believe in you, they believe in the common goal you're trying to achieve, and they're willing to pull together and press toward that, you know.
And leadership is influence, right? And that's where authority comes from, and the ability to influence others, and that's earned over time. That's not necessarily that doesn't necessarily happen in an instant. So it's all good stuff on the leadership perspective.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's you know, you mentioned making an impact on people, and I think, you know, I think we forget a lot of times that we're constantly making an impact on someone, whether we realize it or not.
Right.
And it may not always be positive. A lot of times it's not. But
Right.
you know, we think about making an impact, and we always want to think about that in a positive sense. But we're making a negative impact on people when we're not doing the right thing.
Yeah,
you know, 'cause people are always watching.
That's
you know?
right. And leadership can be in a positive way or a negative way, right?
Oh, no doubt.
You know, you've had, it's a horrible example, but people use it all the time, where Hitler was great at influencing. He was a leader that influenced in a negative way. He influenced an entire nation. Now, and that speaks to the responsibility of a leader too, right? You know, if you have influence over your sphere of people, there comes a lot of responsibility with that too. And so you really want the best of the best in the leadership roles, and you want those with integrity. You want those who just kind of are cut from a different mold, right?
Oh, no doubt. And I think today, I mean, leadership is more important than ever, because so many industries are experiencing just rapid changes in technology and you know, the way products are marketed and produced and sold, and agriculture is no different.
Right.
You know, I mean, we're so used to, a lot of times in the agriculture world, we're dealing with technical problems where, you know, something breaks down or something, you know, something's whatever, you know, and the problem is easily understood, and you know, you can put your hands on the actual problem and say, here's the solution. But there's so many problems now that are adaptive where you don't necessarily know the solution, you know.
Right.
And it takes a great leader and a great team to kind of sit back and say, hey, first we got to determine what the problem is.
Yes.
You know, and then we've got to come together and figure out a solution for that and drive towards that.
Absolutely. And you know, in our notes here, we see that leaders must work to learn what the problem is and then how to resolve it. That takes time. You know,
Right.
It's not gonna be something where you know, a lot of people are just sometimes just throwing Jello on the wall to see if it sticks.
It's right,
But
no doubt.
A true leader seeks out the problem and figures out ways how to resolve it, not just shoot, ready, aim.
No doubt. And you know, I see one of the problems I feel like, not only in the agriculture world, but just, you know, across the world in general today, is such a gap between consumers and producers of any product. You
Yeah.
know, and you, take agriculture for example. Most people, like we talked about earlier, most people have ever stepped foot on a farm, and they have no idea what it takes to produce these products that they're enjoying every day. And what I would encourage is from the agricultural world, from a leader position, like try to find ways to bridge that gap. I would encourage, as a consumer, go visit a farm somewhere. Go as a whole, I can speak to most of these producers, most of these farmers and ranchers. They would not only allow you to come, but they'll welcome you to come. Right. They'll call them ahead of time. They'll give you a tour. They're a lot of these are family run, family operated businesses, and they put so much pride into what they do and what they've taken years to develop there. A lot of these have been passed down from generation to generation, and these places are their heart and soul. They're that's the heartbeat of their life. And they pour everything they have into this, and they would love for you to come see what they've got there and see what it takes to do this, because like we mentioned earlier, this is something they do all day, every day. It's their life. The same chores they're doing when it's sunny and 65 outside. These same chores have to be done when it's sleeting, when it's snowing, when it's 105 in August and September. These same things go on every day. So this is not something they just do when they feel like it.
And they, like you said, I believe they'd want you to come see how it operates.
No doubt.
And so everyone wants to go take a tour of the Alabama football facilities and see how that product on the field is made. And so go to your local farmers and say, hey, look, can I come check out your farm? That's a great way to see the product that, as Kyle mentioned earlier, is used in so many other ways than just your steaks and your hamburger meat.
No doubt. And one last thing on that, encourage your kids to get involved in it. We talked about earlier, so many kids today, they're so glued to their devices, their phones, their tablets, whatever. And man, encourage your kids to get out and get involved. I mean, a lot of schools have organizations such as FFA and other agricultural programs like that really allow hands-on experience and allow kids to get outside of things. Where we live, sports is such a huge thing, and sports are great. I love sports, but there's more besides that out there, and I would love for kids just to step outside of that and get involved in that and try something new. You never know what you might fall in love with.
That's right. And going back to the sports thing, less than 2% of athletes in high school are going to go on to play college ball.
Right.
Less than 2%.
But 100% of parents think their kids will.
100% of them think they will. And then when you get to college, less than 1% of college athletes are going to go pro.
Right.
Okay. So now, so I think we might need to intrigue our kids in a little more interest than sports.
Right.
Now, sports are a great learning tool, great teaching tool. But when it becomes, hey, this is the only path that my kid's going to focus on, then I think that becomes detrimental. So yeah. Well, Kyle, anything else on the, what are some places they could visit? You got the museum, right? They could visit there
for sure. And like I said, I mean, reach out to your local chapter of the Cattlemen Association. They will be glad to put you in touch with, if you're interested in visiting a farm or whatever. They will be more than glad to direct you to someone. Reach out to me if you need to. And I mean,
we'll put your email in the section, and that way people, if you're cool with that.
Yeah, no
Before
problem.
I throw your email
out,
no problem. We'll put it in the section where they can reach out to you.
Sure. I mean, we will be glad to direct you somewhere and get that set up for you. But like I said, get involved and dive a little deeper into what it takes to produce the things that you enjoy every day and see what goes into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I appreciate you having me on, man. It's been good. And lastly, I guess the thing that I would want to leave people with is especially kids growing up, like, find something you're passionate about. And it doesn't matter Doesn't have to be agriculture. Doesn't have to be sports. Find something you're passionate about and that you enjoy and you believed in, and go after it. You know.
Yeah, I think that's a great piece of advice, and once you find out what you're passionate about, that's called the 10,000 hour rule. To be great at something, to be an expert at something, you got to spend 10,000 hours doing it. And so dive all in. And man, Kyle, thank you so much for being on today, and really enjoyed it. I felt like, it was a cool podcast, but also felt like it was another one of our 45-minute hour phone calls where we feel like we can change the world. And we usually come up with some of the best ideas. Well, everyone, thank you so much for listening today to the Talking with Taylor podcast, and we will have Kyle's email in the notes section, and you can reach out to him about anything concerning ACA and also getting plugged in and even maybe touring a farm or two. So check it out, and you guys have a great day.